Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to GamerTube, and welcome to a special episode of our Five Nights at Freddy's character concept series. So in today's video we're diving into Fnaf Security Breach, and the character we're going to cover is Bonnie. Now Bonnie doesn't actually appear as a physical enemy in the game of Fnaf Security Breach. So we thought this would be a fun video to make where we could actually see what Bonnie would look like as a Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach character. We could go into their gameplay mechanics, their location, their backstory, and all that good stuff as well. And as always, I will just state that this is just a theoretical story. We're not saying that this is in Fnaf Security Breach, and we're not saying that this should be in Fnaf Security Breach. This is just a cool, creepy story we get to tell, and we hope you enjoy. And also I will just add, since Fnaf Security Breach is such a brand new game, there is a plethora of information and theories that are jumping out online right now. So if I do get any of the little information pieces wrong, you can politely tell me in the comment section down below. But for the most part, this is just a theoretical what if scenario video. And lastly, before we start today's video, do be sure to subscribe to GamerTube as it does help out a lot and it is greatly appreciated. It also keeps you up to date with all the videos that we post. Alrighty, well, let's take a better look at the character of Bonnie. So, as any Fnaf fan would know, Bonnie was one of the original main characters from the first Five Nights at Freddy's. They've had multiple different iterations throughout the Fnaf series, including Withered Bonnie, Toy Bonnie, and Nightmare Bonnie. Their main colour scheme in the original game was that of an indigo coloured body with their muzzle, belly, palms, and inner ears being a light lavender colour. Whereas their toy version was a bright blue colour with white accents and rosy red cheeks. Amongst fans and players, it always has been a misconception that Bonnie was a female character. But in fact, Bonnie is a male character. In the original game, they were the most active animatronic out of the bunch, with the ability to free roam from midnight to 6 AM. Their main jump scare move was appearing when the player was looking at the cameras and scaring the hell out of them when they looked back up. Bonnie has always been a very popular character in the Fnaf franchise. So it's quite a surprise as to why the creepy bunny animatronic doesn't physically show up in the game as an enemy. Although part of Bonnie is linked with a secret boss character later in the game, but we won't spoil that for now for players who haven't found it out yet. But as it stands, the animatronic himself does not appear in Fnaf Security Breach. So where is Bonnie? And were they ever at the Mega Pizzaplex at one point? As many of you know, Bonnie does have their own distinct area. And this area is Bonnie Bowl, a diner/bowling alley section of the Mega Pizzaplex. So maybe at one point Bonnie was at the Pizzaplex and was linked with the bowling alley. There's many theories online as to what happened to Bonnie. There are multiple notes in Security Breach that vaguely hint at the disappearance of Bonnie. So apparently Bonnie was at one time a part of the main group. But unfortunately they went out of commission and they were temporarily replaced by Montgomery Gator. Montgomery became so popular that poor Bonnie never made it back onto the spotlight. So the question we want to answer is, what if Bonnie appeared in Fnaf Security Breach? So let's imagine an alternate universe where the Fazbear employees fixed up Bonnie and placed them in their designated area of Bonnie Bowl. So in the Bonnie Bowl area we see multiple bowling lanes, arcade machines, and a diner area. So if Bonnie did occupy this area, I think they'd be dressed in the bowling shirt that we see on the main sign and their signature bow tie. Bonnie would also be holding one of the bowling balls at all times. I'd have to imagine he would walk around the bowling alley greeting customers and picking out bowling balls and handing them to players. Bonnie could also have the ability to bowl themselves. The guests could challenge Bonnie as they bowl alongside him in the other lanes. Most times Bonnie would get a perfect strike due to his targeting system that would allow him to bowl perfectly. But of course, if there were any young guests playing alongside him, then he'd go a little easier of course. Another part of Bonnie's job would be polishing the bowling balls. They'd be able to do this in the Buffer-matic 3000. This would be a large machine that could buff and polish up to 10 bowling balls at one time. Now of course, in the in-game bowling alley of Fnaf Security Breach there isn't any Buffermatic 3000 machine, but if Bonnie was still at the Pizzaplex, then maybe this machine could have been there. So alongside Bonnie there would also be other animatronics working at the Bonnie Bowl bowling alley. These animatronics would be the Robo-Pins. These would be small animatronic bowling pin robots that would be quite larger than a regular bowling pin. These cute little pin robots would walk around the alley and serve all the guests their food and drinks whilst they were bowling. The tops of their heads would open up and the employees would be able to place food and drink trays on top of them. These lovable little pins were a favourite amongst all the guests. Everyone was always entertained when they would scurry up to them and give them their food and drink. So the Bonnie Bowl bowling alley overall was a fun and happy place to be. So now let's get into what they would be like if they appeared in the actual game. So in Fnaf Security Breach at the very beginning of the game, the three main antagonists that are searching for you are Chica, Roxy and Monty. Each of them have their own unique traits, but all of them are hunting the main character, Gregory. Typically when they see you, or when they're alerted by the security bots, they come rushing over and grab the player. They're also included in multiple gameplay segments where Gregory is in the middle of a security lockdown and the characters are trying to enter the room to capture them. Also throughout the game, Gregory is able to hide inside Glamrock Freddy. When inside Freddy, the player is hidden from all the other animatronics. But the player does need to be careful not to let Freddy's battery run out later in the game. So for Bonnie's theoretical gameplay segment, we'd see Gregory sneaking into Bonnie's bowling alley. Now this would be different from when we actually visit the bowling alley in the game. This time, Freddy wouldn't be with us and Bonnie would be creeping around the alley. Maybe Freddy might be stuck somewhere, or he might be powered down. So in the original game, by the time you enter the bowling alley, you should already have the Fazblaster. But in this what if gameplay segment, Gregory would only have their flashlight. So the reason Gregory would be sneaking into the bowling alley could possibly be that they need to get another security pass or another ticket pass to access other areas. When they enter the bowling alley, they can see Bonnie aimlessly walking around. They'd be wearing their bowling shirt and be carrying around a bowling ball as well. Gregory would have to make their way to the other end of the bowling alley to access the security office and get the next level security clearance. As the player sneaks through, they would also have to be careful of the Robo-Pins. There will be multiple Robo-Pins walking around the bowling alley. These characters would act just like security bots. They'd move in the same speed as the security bots, but they would have the spider-like leg movement of the wind-up Music Man. When the pins spot or run into the player, they would alert Bonnie of your location. The player would quickly have to find somewhere to hide before Bonnie makes it over to them and captures them. As for Bonnie, I think they would be a silent character. They have spoken in the other games, but I don't think they would have much to say in Security Breach. It would be pretty creepy if they heard the disturbing noises that they make from the original Fnaf whilst they roam around and search for the player. Once Gregory has successfully made it past all the Robo-Pins and Bonnie, they would find themselves in the security office of the bowling alley. Once they've located the little Freddy container, they open it up and take the security pass with them. The moment they do, another security lockdown triggers once again. Bonnie now knows exactly where Gregory is.
Freddy! The power's only at 15% and they're pounding on the door! How am I gonna get out of here?
Do not panic. You should see an interface on the security desk. Hold on while I make it accessible to you. There. You can now activate security protocols. Switch between the cameras to find a
So in this gameplay segment, the player needs to keep Bonnie from entering the security office. There would be a timer on the monitor for 3 minutes. The player would have to keep an eye on both doors and keep them shut at the correct times whilst also conserving power. Bonnie will start to knock on the doors and change doors each time they get locked out. After managing both doors, the lockdown ends and Bonnie eventually wanders back into the bowling alley. After the coast is clear, Gregory leaves the security office. Once they enter back into the bowling alley, they need to make their way towards the entrance and leave this place once and for all. Just as they step back into the bowling alley, a cutscene begins and they are grabbed by Bonnie. Gregory with all his might tries to shake free, but Bonnie has a firm hold on him. Once again, a security lockdown is initiated. All the doors in the bowling alley have been locked shut. Gregory notices right behind Bonnie is the Buffermatic 3000. With quick thinking, they throw their flashlight at the large button on the front, triggering the machine to turn on. The moment that it does, Bonnie is sucked into the machine, letting go of Gregory. The machine starts to spark and smoke. Eventually, after a few seconds, the machine's mechanisms lock up and shuts off. Gregory picks up their flashlight and turns towards the machine. Out of the busted up Buffermatic walks out a not so polished Bonnie. All of their material skin and bowling shirt have been ripped up. One of their arms has completely lost all of its outer shell, revealing their endoskeleton arm. Bonnie's faceplate has been completely torn off, revealing their inner hardware and bare eyeballs. So in this boss battle segment, the player needs to lead Bonnie towards the end of the bowling lanes where the bowling balls are stored. When Bonnie is close enough, Gregory would unscrew the racks with the screwdriver and cause all the bowling balls to fall out. Bonnie, while still walking, would trip over the bowling balls. Each fall they take, they would get more and more damaged. So throughout this battle, the player needs to keep repeating the process of making Bonnie trip over on the bowling balls. Eventually, Bonnie would take so many falls that they wouldn't be able to walk anymore. They would simply crawl after the player trying to capture them. At the end of this battle, the player would need to lead Bonnie down the end of one of the lanes. When they were in the right position, Gregory would run back to the other end of the bowling lane and bowl one of the balls directly at Bonnie. The ball would knock Bonnie and the pins down into the end of the lane. Just as Bonnie crawls back out, the sweeper comes down and knocks them back into the darkness. Just as Bonnie has been dealt with, the security lockdown has been lifted. Finally, Gregory can now exit this horrible bowling alley. Now I think Bonnie would be an excellent addition to Fnaf Security Breach. It would be awesome to see such an iconic character return, and I definitely think they could add some awesome elements to the overall game. But like always, this is a fun what if scenario, and I don't think we'll be seeing Bonnie in Security Breach anytime soon. Maybe they might be included in a DLC, but for now, it's just a fun idea, and we hope you enjoyed it. Alrighty everyone, well that's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting, and subscribing, as it helps out a lot and it is greatly appreciated. As always, leave a comment down below what you thought of Bonnie, and also what other characters you'd like to see going forward in the world of FNAF. Alrighty, well, until the next video, I'll catch you later, bye.